Hey there, so heads up and apologies that the quality of this is probably going to be pretty rubbish. I'm just doing this for my sanity and for the sanity of anyone else who just feels a little bit gaslit by the content that we're going to go over. So here we go.
Panel here with Greg Cooper and Dean Jackson and I, when we're all together, we have all these different points of view. Same thing happens when we bring all these analysts in and these...
So I've skipped forward a bit because there's a bit of just fluff at the beginning. This is 7 minutes 38, and Steve Johnson, who's Chris's guest, is talking about, I don't know, all the other people that he has analysed this with. And it's creating the impression that his viewpoint here is backed up by lots of other people, and therefore it has more credibility and we more have to believe it. And okay, but we don't. We still have our own brains and we can still decide what we think.
These analysts are from all over the country, and soon we'll have some from the UK as well.
Ooh.
And they all have different life experiences.
The Queen's from the UK.
And perspectives, and I tell you what, it is fantastic when we put all that together.
So they've got all different perspectives. So we're looking at this, therefore, from all different perspectives, and we're still coming up with the same conclusion. That's what he's implying, and I don't think that that's really cool, because none of those people are here. We can't see if they actually have different perspectives or not. We're just taking this guy's word for it, and it's all being funneled through his filter and his lens. And, I mean, assumedly, if this is a class that he's giving, then isn't that tainting all of these people's opinions anyway? Like, he's going to be giving off cues of what he thinks.
So, anyway, yeah, I'm really excited to show you what they came up with today, and that they were just spot on. It's really exciting to...
So, and he's clarifying, they said it, and I'm validating that they were spot on. So this can't be questioned. So, no, it can be questioned.
Watch that process play out when you start understanding on a deep level, which is called linguistic empathy. You understand on a deep level what is going on inside Don's head, what produced the words that he said at the time he said them and the way he said them. When you understand that on that deep level, I tell you what, it's just, Chris, you're literally inside their brain, and that's...
You're not literally inside their brain. You are literally pretending that you know what's going on inside their brain. That's what you're literally doing. That really annoys me. He is implying that he can literally read Don's mind. That's not true. That's absolute rubbish. And the fact that he's starting out that way makes him lose a lot of credibility to me.
That's the beauty of this, is you're literally crawling up inside their mind and understanding.
No, it's literally impossible to literally crawl up inside someone's mind. Now, I'll get off my little high horse here about the literal use of literally, and let's suggest that he is using the word literally metaphorically, and he just means you're very much crawling up inside their mind. It's still rubbish. You can look at the way someone is presenting their non-verbal language and all of that, and you can have an idea of what's going on. You can have an idea that they're not comfortable talking about this. Something's going on here. They seem to be withholding information. You can have all of that. Absolutely. That can be ascertained with a reasonable degree of certainty, correctness, but not 100%. And this guy is implying that it's 100%, which it's not. It never is. Now, and good behavioral analysis will tell you up front that it's not 100%. On top of that, he's going beyond and saying that not only can he figure out that someone is withholding information, but he can figure out why they're withholding information, and he's implying that he can figure out what they're withholding when he says that we can literally crawl up inside their mind, even if I give him some leeway that he's using the word literally figuratively.
What's going on, and sometimes...
I'm already annoyed.
I mean, it's always a good thing.
It's not good. It's not a good way to start.
On the justice level, on the other side of things, it can get a little messy. There's times that we just think, I just feel gross. You know, I feel, man, I understand this guy so much that I just feel like I need to go wash off. I need to go take a shower. And
I think that's a really, really creepy thing to start off with. You're really colouring us already. That the person that we're going to be talking about, we've got this image now in our head of understanding their mind so much that you feel dirty because their mind is that filthy and their mind is that abhorrent that you need to take a shower afterwards. I, as a hobby, I really enjoy whenever I watch anyone on TV or even in real life. I love looking at their nonverbals. It's really interesting to me. And there have been actual serial killers where I have watched their interviews and I can see what's going on in their head from my basic perspective, right? I may be wrong, but I can see what I think is going on in their head. And I have never felt like I needed to shower afterwards. I would never say that. I have felt... I felt, I guess, like a little bit creepy, like creeped out. But to say that you felt dirty and you need to shower afterwards, that is such hyperbolic kind of emotional manipulation. I don't like that. There's no reason to start off with that. There's absolutely no reason to say that.
That's just the way it is, and that's the nature of our business, obviously. But I tell you, it's very, very effective, and when we apply the principles, there's nothing better.
Well,
there is something better. Real evidence.
Because number one, I know your integrity, and I always feel like I'm, getting in the back seat of one of the blue
His
Angels.
integrity, I'm sorry, but his integrity is literally already in question based on the things I've said.
We're going to go through this.
The things I've criticized.
As much as we can here tonight, but I know you guys have your team.
Even if you think the things that I've criticized are too harsh, there is some merit to what I've criticized, which means the guy's integrity is already, I'm sorry, it's not 1,000,000% the way Chris wants to say it is.
Has been sitting down on this and driving
In
into
my
it.
opinion.
So I want to tell everybody up front, thank you right from the get-go. We appreciate all the consideration, but that's not what's important here. Summer Wells is important here tonight. And so at the end,
I love that. What's important here is Summer Wells. Well, if that was the most important thing, you wouldn't be giving us this tunnel vision. Let's only focus in on the father. If what's important is Summer Wells, we shouldn't be focusing in on anyone. If you watch anything by me, you'll notice that I'm not saying let's focus in on anyone. Let's keep everything open. And I'm not saying that the police should not investigate Donald Wells. I'm saying that the public shouldn't be so focused on Donald Wells and shouldn't be assuming that he has done this with, I'm sorry, no evidence. If you think I'm wrong and you think that there is evidence that Donald Wells did this, then comment what your evidence is down below. But I guarantee you're not going to have something. Because if you had evidence that he did it, I wouldn't be sitting here saying he didn't do it. I'm not stupid. I'm not some Donald Wells fangirl. I don't like the guy. I don't know the guy. He's just a guy. I feel really sorry for him losing his daughter because I don't think there's any evidence to suggest he did it. And to me, rationally and logically, it doesn't make sense that he did it. I mean, I can do a whole video about that. It's just irrational to me to think he did it. Phew.
going to have a little time for Q&A. So let's see how far we can get through this. And so, Steve, what I'm going to do...
Let's see how far we can get through this.
If I can get my mouse to work here. Here it is. So I'm going to start off at about the 1446 mark. Sound good to you? Where Don says, I know, you know, a lot of people. And so we just went down about 3 minutes to get to this place from where we left off on the last one. Are you good with that?
Yeah. Do you care
Can
if
we
I
move
point
it
out
along
some
at all?
things just for people that
Sure. Please give us a
maybe
recap.
All right.
missed the last one?
I've seen this bit before.
Sure,
It's going to do a little
Just
recap.
things that-
This
that
annoyed me.
We saw in the
I'm ready to be
first
annoyed
part of
again.
his statement. And so
I think I
obviously
got
I'm not
halfway
gonna
through the recap.
show you the exact words. I'll just tell you the bullet points. Number one is that so far, Don has not denied, even though he said that everyone is looking at he and Candace, he has not denied that he had anything to do with Summer's disappearance. That's a big...
Okay, I actually don't know if that's true, that Don has never denied he had something to do with Summer's disappearance. And I doubt that. I really doubt that at no point he's denied it. I'm pretty sure the police asked him and he would have denied it, right? That polygraph that no one is saying he didn't take, you're going to tell me that one of the questions isn't, did you have anything to do with the disappearance? And he didn't say no, because I think if he said yes, he would have been put in cuffs. So I think it's really odd to say he hasn't denied it, but let's just say he's talking about in this particular interview.
Deal. So that is something, if you did not do it, then you won't own that. You will immediately shed that, and he hasn't done that. So
he's saying that you would immediately shed that. You would immediately shed responsibility. You would immediately say, I didn't do it. Well, I just call BS on that, straight up. If you didn't do it, and someone doesn't directly ask you if you didn't do it, then no, you're not going to bring it up. And bringing it up would actually be a sign of guilt. If I walk into my kid's room and there's cookie wrappers on the floor, and I go, so what you doing in here? And my kid goes, I didn't eat the cookies. And they immediately shed that without being asked. No, that makes them look guilty, not the opposite. Okay? The only time you want to hear a firm and definite, I didn't do it, is when you're asked. So are you implying that he was asked, did you have anything to do with it, and he didn't answer that? Because if that happened, someone give me a timestamp or a link or something, because that would blow my mind. I don't believe that that's true. So I think that the facts are being completely misrepresented here.
He's accepted that. The other thing is
and he's also adding on that because Don hasn't denied having involvement, he has accepted the accusation that he has involvement, which again, that's a leap, an unprofessional leap.
If you saw the interview that he did with the media and the interview that he did with Chris, he has expressed linguistically that he immediately processed the worst case scenario.
He has expressed linguistically? Of course he has expressed it linguistically. How else would you like him to express it? That's really, really odd. It's like he's throwing in large words just to sound more cool. We're so impressed.
That Summer is taken far, far away, that she's gone. There's this finality in his voice.
So we're both upset that Don has apparently not denied involvement, and we're also upset that he has said that she's been abducted and taken far away, which obviously is denying involvement.
And he's thrown out multiple scenarios, including that she's abducted and that she possibly dead. Another bullet.
So he's criticizing Don for having thrown out multiple scenarios. And this is something I've seen a few times, which baffles me. I've seen Don criticized for maintaining only one option, that she was abducted, which to me, if my kids don't wander. My kids are very scared to be alone. If my kid was not outside, was not there, and I looked for half an hour and couldn't find her, I would think they've been abducted. It's the only thing that makes sense to me. So I don't think it's weird to narrow in on abduction whatsoever. But he's been criticized for narrowing in on having only this one idea. But now this guy is also criticizing Don for having multiple ideas. Is that wrong? Would it be wrong if your child is missing to say, I think they were probably abducted. I think that they might be dead. I think that they might be something else. Is having multiple ideas is also wrong? And also the thing about finality. I haven't seen Don stick steadfastly to finality. He has many times said, I do still hope, I do still wonder. Sometimes there's finality there, sometimes they're not. That to me is completely consistent with grief. it is easier to take grief if you just go, okay, well, I lost my watch and I'm never getting it back. I know I'm never getting it back. I don't want to hope. Because you cut out some of the pain from hoping. But then you can't help but hope. And someone will say, let's go back and check the restaurant. Maybe it's there. And you go, yeah, maybe it's there. I bet it's stolen though. And on the car ride back to the restaurant to get the watch, you're saying to yourself, I bet it's not there. It's not going to be there. I know it's not going to be there. But let's just check anyway. But I know it's not going to be there. And you're saying that to insulate yourself from the pain when you discover that the watch isn't there because you don't want to hope. Does that mean that you killed your watch? Okay, no. Well, let me get it back. Well, we're going to totally discount everything that I said and just narrow in on this particular focus that they want.
Point. He's inferring that the police are not to be trusted.
It's how innocent people get into jail.
Them.
Okay,
And
this bit about not trusting the police in relation to, as far as I can understand, he's saying that because Don said that their phones were erased from 3 o'clock onwards, that means that you can't trust the police. Okay, first of all, Don is a Seventh-day Adventist, and they do have, culturally, generally speaking, a distrust for government and all of that goes with that, including the police. So if there is some of that, that could be very natural culturally for Don, not necessarily to do with, like, he's intentionally casting shade on the police. I don't see that he's intentionally casting shade on the police, and I didn't really see that he was casting shade on the police at all. I'm just kind of giving him the benefit of the doubt here. This what's his name? Steve? Giving him the benefit of the doubt here. The thing about deleting the stuff off the phone, well, here's one possibility out there, Steve. Maybe that's true. Maybe they did delete the stuff off the phone, and maybe he is just telling you what happened, and the fact that you think that that's implying something dodgy. Yeah, okay, if that's proven to be a lie, and I'm thinking, then there's got to be like, well, why? Why did Don lie about the stuff that was deleted off the phone? But no one's proven to me that that's a lie. So why am I thinking that's a lie? I'm not. I believe that. And people say, okay, well, that doesn't make sense. Why were the phones given back? Why was the stuff deleted? I can give you, like, one reason off the top of my head why the phones might have been given back. Maybe they bugged them. Maybe they deleted the stuff off the phone so that the Wells parents wouldn't be able to refer back to their texts and, change their stories and make up their stories using what they already, the police have what they said in the texts and where they said they were, that's already set. That's fixed now that they have those. So if Don and Candace want to make up a story, it's going to be really obvious it's a lie if it doesn't include those fixed points. Yeah? Because, we know these things happened. Your story doesn't include those things, so therefore it's a lie. So that's why you might want to delete the text off, so that if they want to make up a story, they're going to have to try to remember the true facts. They're not going to be able to cleverly insert those true facts, right? And like I said, the reason they might give the phones back, apart from just giving them back because they're nice, which is not that likely, they might be bugged.
And that they are responsible for removing data from his phone, Candace's phone, and his mother-in-law's phone from about the 3:30 mark, I think he said, on that day. Okay. And so he's now casting blame towards the police.
Is he? Is he casting blame towards the police because he said that, or is he just stating a fact?
And that's not a good thing.
We're seeing how that's working out for the other guy in Colorado.
Yeah, for sure. And then and Chris will tell you from numerous cases, that's a very common thing. We see that a lot, that when they don't know where to go, they'll try to denigrate and cast blame on the investigators.
I'm not sure what he means by that's a very common thing. In my experience with cases that I've looked into, I haven't really seen that a lot. I can't think of an example of it happening off the top of my head. I'm sure it happens. I don't know how common it is.
And so it's
I'll take his
some
word
other
for
dude,
it.
and actually at this time it's some other investigator. It's their fault. So very common. What were you gonna say something, Chris, about that?
No. I was. I'm just waiting for when you say go.
Okay.
I'm glued. I'm glued.
So
glued to you.
another thing, he's throwing out all these possibilities.
You already mentioned
He's
that.
making up. I shouldn't say make. He's throwing out just a ton of scenarios.
Seriously, I'm baffled. Don has been criticized so much for only saying it's abduction. How do you know it's abduction? That's so suspicious that you're pushing a narrative. But now he's actually getting in trouble for throwing out a multitude of possibilities. Guys, it can't be both. You put someone in a situation where they're damned if they do and they're damned if they don't, and then you want to act like it's a gotcha moment when you say, hey, this guy's damned.
And you know, I like it when we ask a parent in this type of situation, hey, what do you think happened? I like it when they say, well, you know what? My first thought is, boom, and they tell me what their first thought is and back it up, and they have a solid reason for it.
Okay, I haven't heard this part yet, so this is, wow, excuse my shock. Did you hear that? Am I crazy? Like, this is why I'm doing this, right? That's why I'm recording this, because this makes me feel so gaslit and insane. It's like, it's so, right? My brain is like shutting down and I'm starting to feel like baffled. It's sick. It makes me feel sick. What he just said is exactly what Don did. He said he likes it when the parents give them an idea, give them one idea that they think, and back it up with why. So what the parents have said is, we think that she was abducted. Why? Because she never wanders from her home. We just saw her. We saw nothing bad happen to her. And then she was gone. We looked. What I've heard, and don't, I don't know how completely accurate this is, but I heard from, I believe it was Candace, that they looked for about half an hour before calling the police. Now, I would have to check that, but I believe that's what the story is. So if your story is, she was right there, then she went out of my sight into the house where there are doors to a basement door to exit. And then I went looking for her soon after. I couldn't find her. I spent, half an hour-ish looking for her all over the house, all over the grounds, and getting in my car and going down the road and looking. I believe Don said that Candace did that. Got in the car and went looking, which is what you would do. And then you can't find the child anywhere in half an hour, and you think this is really out of character for your child to wander. That's a reason why you think abduction. It's a little child. If this was a 15-year-old, of course you're not going to jump to abduction, because there could be many things. There could be that they got a call from a friend or a boyfriend that you don't know about, blah, blah, blah. Could be a million things. But with a 5-year-old who is scared to leave and wander, which we have been told Summer was, and checks out for me, that's a lot of kids. Some kids are wanderers, lots of them aren't. So I'm baffled by him just saying what he would like the parents to do, and it's exactly what they did do, and he's going to try and tell us that they didn't.
What I don't like is when they throw out a possibility, but there's no foundation for it. Instead,
There's no foundation for it. Okay, I just explained what the foundation was, and this guy's making me angry, because either he is stupid, which I don't know how smart he is, but I doubt he's as stupid as he would have to be to say that, or he knows exactly what he's doing, which makes it really disgusting. And you know who makes me want to have a shower between Don and this guy? It's this guy. Like, I'm so mad. I would love to curb my tongue a little and be a little more, nice.
there's there's narrative building and alibi building and laying groundwork for how that could work.
There's narrative building and alibi building. In saying that my kid was abducted, what are you talking about? I haven't seen any of that. That is baffling to me. But also that you're going to tell someone that if we try to tell you that we have an alibi, we're guilty? That's...
If you have to explain why that could be and lay the foundation, and pave the way as to why that could be the case, then it loses all credibility and it actually
Whoa. So there's some truth in what he said there that I absolutely agree with. When someone tells you, when you ask what happened, and someone tells you, you say, where did you go on Friday? And they say, I went to the park because I always blah, 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 and I had to blah, 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 and blah, 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 blah. And they give you a seemingly unnecessary reason or reasons for doing this. That is giving you a glimpse that in their mind, they know that what they said isn't believable. So they need to back it up with a reason. So yes, if you ask someone a kind of simple question, like even the one I gave, it's kind of okay to say why you went to the park because it might be weird, but you are subconsciously admitting that what you are claiming you did is weird if you offer up a reason straight away. So that can be a red flag. But also the way he said that is like, he said, gave some kind of absolute, like why that's obviously wrong, obviously dodgy, I mean. And it's definitely a really big sign, but it's not 100%. There are times where people, their personality or for other reasons, they think that what they're saying is not believable, so they give you a reason, but it can still be the truth, right? If you brush your teeth 13 times a day and you know that that's weird, and someone says, so what were you doing at 11 a.m.? And you say, I was brushing my teeth because I always brush my teeth 13 times a day. That doesn't necessarily mean you're lying. It could be. But it could just be that you know that it's weird that you're brushing your teeth at 11 a.m. and so you're explaining that. That's a possibility, and he's not acknowledging that possibility. He's saying, no, it's definitely a lie if you do that. And that's not true.
Goes south. It goes the other way. So now it gives all the it puts check marks in the negative section. That he might be not telling the truth about that.
I'll go with that.
And that's
might.
What we have here with Dawn. One of those scenarios was that Summer was abducted. And the only way for that to happen was that those dogs had to be off the property because there's, 13 dogs, I believe?
There were 13 there when I was there. 13.
And they bark. Everyone has said those dogs bark every time someone comes up.
The dogs are really annoying me. These are not trained guard dogs. People seem to have this Disney movie idea of dogs. Well, I love there's a little TikTok video or something like that where a guy pretends that he's drowning and his dog swims up to him and rests his paws on him and pushes him further into the water. Because that's what dogs are like. Dogs are pretty silly. They don't run around trying to save their owners. They don't go, oh, a bad guy's coming, I'm going to bark and try and save the little girl from the bad guy. No, dogs don't really act like that. A trained and bred guard dog will bark at strangers. And any normal dog, depending on the breed, may have a propensity to bark at a stranger either that's coming onto the property, either as a warning or just as a greeting. It does not have anything to do with the abduction because the person who came and took Summer, if they did, could have been on the property waiting for them to get home for an hour or 2 or 3. We don't know how long they could have sat there. But someone who really wants something, people will line up outside the Apple store for their new iPhone overnight waiting. All right? People will sit and wait for hours for something they really want. Are you saying that the dogs would have been barking for an hour straight, 2 hours straight, 3 hours straight? Are you telling me that they're just going to keep looking at this guy and barking? They're not going to go off and do something else? No, that does not make sense. It is completely plausible that they may have barked when they first saw this guy, if he was there, and that they then stopped barking long before Candace even came home. Or that if they were barking where he was down in the tree line, that might have been at anything and not necessarily sparked anyone's concerns. The idea that these dogs would have necessarily barked at the moment that he was abducting Summer if they were on the property, no, that doesn't add up. That's not guaranteed.
The driveway, they prowl all the land that
the
they're
dogs
on,
prowl,
and they know when somebody is on that property that shouldn't be there, and so in order.
Oh, this guy knows that the dogs that I don't think he's ever even met. He doesn't even know exactly how many there are. He's taking Chris's word for that these dogs prowl the property like guard dogs, and that they know when there's a stranger on the property. They're dogs. They're dogs. What is this guy from PETA and he thinks dogs are humans? They're dogs.
For her to be abducted, those dogs would not have to be there, and he went to great lengths to explain what the dogs normally do, how they're stupid, how they're dumb, and how this because of what they normally do, that they couldn't have been there that day. And I'm telling you what, it's like a needle in a haystack.
I don't totally agree with what he's saying there. I do agree with some of what he's saying there. I do agree that Don has done some explaining about the dogs. And if I was interrogating Don the first couple of hours after Summer's disappearance, and he was throwing in this whole story about the dogs when I hadn't really asked, I'd be like, dude, no one asked, why are you so obsessed with the dogs? This is weird. But we're talking about an interview that took place more than a month after she'd gone missing, where many people on social media had talked about these dogs over and over again. So there is good reason that Don would want to explain about the dogs, because other people brought it up first. So it's not weird in this context. Now, if he was going on and on about these dogs really early on, that might mean something, but that's completely different, right?
We'd be more lucky to have a lightning strike, I think.
Well,
go ahead.
Yeah, no, I absolutely right, can't disagree. And so a couple other folks here in the chat are saying that they can't see the screen. So fix your pixel, do a higher resolution, and then the clarity should come up on your stream there. So are you ready to get into this, Steve? We can rock and roll on this, shall we?
Oh gosh, we're finally going to get started
so
on the actual analysis.
And
I haven't heard any of this.
whoops.
I'm prepared to get angry.
I gotta get down here.
I sometimes smile when I'm angry, so just when I'm nervous and upset, sometimes I smile.
We go, right here. Okay, so we'll go right from here.
What's her name? Michelle and some friends, but it'd probably be better if I contacted them and give them your number. But I'm trying to bring all this stuff to light because I don't know what police are doing. I don't know what TBI is doing. Sure. I know a lot of people talk a big talk, and then they come out here and they're just worried about their own agenda. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, well, that's what you were saying about me. Yeah, and if I'm wrong, I apologize to you. Okay. Well, that's okay. I mean, I don't take anything personal. I appreciate that. So,
I'm just going to say there, while Don is talking about TBI and all of that, I detect no nervousness or edge in his voice, as though he's discussing something that he's afraid of, and that's something that I would be looking for.
I have a question though. Let's go back to the day, okay? Yes. Unpack that day for me. When did you leave for work? And then when the 911 or when you I left early that morning. Summer was by my side, and I left for work. And now I worked all day, and then I called her at some point, I guess when she was in Walgreens. I says, well, what are you doing, you know? And so she said something about taking them up to the lake or whatever. I thought, well, hell, I might as well just work late because there's no point in me going home. They're out doing their thing, and I might as well just stay late and do what I can. And then, you know, my boss come by and make fun of me. He's about my car. Says, I was using that brand new car for drywall. Give me a hard time about that. You know,
Hey, hold up, Chris.
now you said.
Okay.
All right. So I'm gonna go backwards here. Let's talk about the car first because that's the last thing that we heard.
Okay.
You know, there's something about this car, and I don't understand yet what it is. But you know, when you go do drywall work, that is messy business, and to put your drywall tools and everything in a new car. I don't know if this was new, but it was new to him, I guess. And I guess he said it's a brand new car. So it's just there's something weird about that.
So I see where he's going with the comment about the car. It is a little bit odd. It is a red flag, and it is something that I would look into. But does it bother me personally? No. And the reason it doesn't bother me is that Don said that his reason for taking the car is that it was just sitting there and he wanted to use it, and that checks out for me rationally and logically. But also, Don said that his boss had commented about the car, and he even said it just then. And that's how his boss particularly remembers that he was at work, that he was seen there. So if Don was lying about that, if that's not true about taking the red car and that his boss saw him and everything, that's easily verifiable. So that would be the most stupid and ridiculous lie, and I think we'd all know by now if that was a lie. So the fact that he took that car, that seems to be a fact. He did do that. Now, does the fact that he did that have something to do with him being guilty with Summer? Well, I can tell you a reason that's not to do with Summer, why he took the car instead of the truck. It's the reason Don gave. The car was just sitting there, he was paying for it, it wasn't being used, so he thought, I'm just going to get some use out of my car, lots that I'm paying for. That checks out to me as a reason. People do think that way. Now, what's your reason for thinking that that might have something to do with Summer disappearing? Is it easier to dispose of a child's body in a car than in a truck? Is there some reason? Because if you give me that reason, I might be interested. But so far, I don't see a reason that taking that car has anything to do with Don being involved in Summer's disappearance.
Don't use a brand new car for drywall work. If you guys don't know, that's a dirty, messy job. I'm going to skip back up to when he said, Chris, you asked him, when did you...
So he's saying you don't use a car for that, like it's an absolute. When what we would say is, if you're having integrity, is you wouldn't usually. That's unusual, and that's true. It is unusual. Don has explained why, and that it was unusual. He didn't always take the car. He usually took the truck, and he did it this one time because blah, blah, blah. And when I say one time, I'm not being literal. It may have been a handful of times. I don't know. But the point is that Don has said that he particularly took the car not because it was normal to take the car, and then back to what I said before. So, if you can give me a reason why this casts suspicion, I'll be interested. Because what I'm mostly interested in here is what actually happened to Summer, where Summer actually is. I'm interested in the truth. I don't care if Don is guilty or not. I think that's going to be a sadder story. So I guess I don't want that to be true if I'm admitting my total biases. I would prefer that that's not true. But I'm not sitting here with blinkers on to the truth either. I'm open to it. But I need to see evidence before I'm going to turn against a father who may be completely innocent.
Leave for work, and then when the 911 and then he interrupted and he said, I left early that morning. Okay, so he answered your question. And then, after answering your question, he added this, which in context has nothing to do with the question that you asked. He said, Summer was by my side and I left for work. Why? So what my team and I asked was, why would he include Summer was by my side and I left for work, instead of saying I left early that morning at whatever time it was, and then be done with it.
I get the point that he's making here, but I don't, because this isn't an interrogation that's happening immediately after Summer went missing, I think it means a lot less, and I wouldn't put anything in this. The fact that he mentions Summer is likely just that he's thinking about Summer.
The question, but his brain went somewhere else. You focused him on that morning, and so he told you not only that he left answering the question, but his mind has now gone back to the most important thing.
His missing child?
Summer was by my side.
That's weird.
And I left for work.
Guys,
now, the
that's
argument
not weird.
is that, well, we're talking about Summer. Summer's the one that's gone, and so he's remembering that Summer was there by his side. That's a good thing. That's a good thing for a parent to remember. The problem is that there's an indication here when he says I left for work, instead of saying I went to work, his brain has paused there at the point of departure, which is his home. Summer was by my side. There's missing information there. That's what that indicates. His brain paused. Instead of moving forward to work, his brain paused right there. And so
I will agree with that is a case of missing information, in that he hasn't said this happened. But if you listen to the way Don talks, that's just kind of the way Don talks. His brain doesn't seem to be ever, that just seems to be his baseline, right? His brain doesn't ever seem to be very good at just following what happened. It kind of jumps around a bit. So I can't put any stock in that.
want to know is, okay, is this critical information, or is it just that he's sentimental about Summer? And by the way, there hasn't been any sentiment about Summer. His emotions have not risen to that level that we would expect of a parent. And in fact, it's kind of been the opposite.
That's not fair at all. I don't think that's fair at all. This is an interview. This is not a sit down and have a cuddle and have a cup of tea and reminisce about Summer. And, this is an adult grown man who isn't necessarily going to sit there and cry. When you're asking these strategic questions, you're not asking him to talk about things that are going to stir emotions. People can talk about things from a detached place. So I don't like that. I don't think that that's fair.
Focus more on his own emotion than emotion about Summer. And so I'm on high alert now. So now I know
that comment that Don is focusing on his own emotion rather than emotion about Summer, I didn't see him back that up with any examples. I think that was either very poorly expressed or manipulative or something else, but I don't put any stock in that.
I have missing information that's related to Summer being in bed with him. And I know that it's bad because it's from what's going to come next. You ask him, tell me about Summer being by your side. And he says, well, she slept next to me. So I know that this missing information is related to Summer being in bed with him. Okay, and I'll come back to that.